Foremost, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostle elders, a great millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there pushing this word in love, truth, sincerity, and humility. Once again, this is the brother Shatia from the Chicago camp, coming back to you with what I hope is another quick and edifying sit down. And once again, spotlighting the video on the Common Sense Show with Dave Hodges. And this was a really good video. It says 1 year from now, America will witness these 10 changes. And so we're going to let this play and get some scripture when fitting. So let's let this roll.
And if we were really a dramatic entity here, we'd have a drum roll, the bugles would be playing. But here we go. One of the things that you can expect is we will become a nation of renters. And in fact, I would even call us feudal serfs / sharecroppers, not owning property for the vast majority. And your banks will be the landlords, the one that holds the deed. And it will be like one big company town, you know, where you go to a mining town and the company owns all the housing. They own the grocery store. They own everything. Okay, so you're going to see this reflected in housing because right now, what is it? 60% of Americans aren't paying their mortgage. It's estimated that we're going to get to 75, 80% of the people that can't pay their housing costs. Well, you can't turn 80% of the people loose on the streets. So what you're going to see is some kind of modification where the government is going to enter into a public-private partnership with the banks, and the banks will be the landlords for the nation. You may be able to shelter in place, but you'll no longer own your home. You will be a renter. Welcome to feudalism in the year 2021.
Yep. All right, what do you see right now? Mortgage delinquencies at an all-time high. All right, you have folks that can't even pay rent. You have folks that are 3, 4, and 5 months behind rent or mortgage. All right, they're about to get kicked out of their place of residence very soon because due to the boogeyman shutting everything down, they don't have a job to go back to. And if they were furloughed, they might not come back to the job. So we're going to get oppressing city. I believe that's what I'm thinking about. It says, woe to her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city. All right, destruction to her, Babylon the Great, that great harlot. All right, the whore that made everybody drunken. All right, filthy and polluted to the oppressing city. Okay, because the legislation that's being passed to enforce the eviction of these people is highly illegal. Okay, how do you expect people to pay rent and mortgage when you told their job that they have to close down and you've completely shut down all sources of income for them? Okay, you give them a stimulus check, but what's that going to do? Any of you all out there, can you name the last time you've been at a place where you could get a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,000 square feet for $600 some? I'll wait. Hey, but that's what you got going on here in America. Okay. They're rolling out this Agenda 21, or it's probably Agenda 2030 by now, but whatever agenda it is. Okay. This thing is gained full momentum and is going full speed ahead. All right, in the next couple of years, you're going to have a massive, you thought homelessness was bad now? Like he said, within a year, you'll see what's going to happen. Let's continue.
The other thing that we're going to see, too, because of costs and job unavailability and destitute economy, is we're going to see multi-families housing. In other words, multiple families living in the same house. Now, that trend has been increasing over the course of the last 30 years. The millennials staying in the basement, snapshot stereotype. But this is going to go a lot further. You're going to see 3 and 4 generational households. And this is actually a common thing in third world countries. Did I say third world countries? Oh, yes. As a result of this, I can't tell you the damage the lockdowns have done to the economy. Well, I can. Over 50% of small businesses gone. Half the adults in the nation that are eligible to work, gone. I could continue to go on, but you get my drift. We are in uncharted territory economically, and the powers that be are going to manipulate it so they can control us more. And multifamily housing, just more people, less square footage per person. It's going to get ugly. We're also going to see.
All right. Now, he said that you're going to have multiple. Now, like he said, you already see like 2 generations living in a house. But man, you talking about 3 and 4 generations of people staying in the same. Man, you talking about trouble and conflict and stress that doesn't need to be there, but it's going to manifest itself every day. Come on, man. I think this one is it's either in Habakkuk or Amos. Let's go woe house to house. I think it's actually in Isaiah. Let me put this on pause and find it. All right, this is Isaiah 5 and 8. It says, woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. All right, there's a reason why the Lord made this. All right, people are not even supposed to live this close together in their individual houses, let alone on top of each other. Okay, you have no sense of privacy. Okay, and your neighbors will be able to look and hear everything you do. All right. Everybody has had those moments where they rented an apartment. You trying to get some sleep at night. Somebody's playing music. Okay, or you always got this one neighbor that's always clapping his chick at 3:30 in the morning faithfully. You just like, what the hell, man? You trying to work tomorrow. You got to be up in 3 hours. And you got to hear that madness. All right, this is why you have so much conflict and hostility, all right, within certain blocks and within certain apartment complexes. All right, yeah, there's even the story when you read in Genesis about Abraham, and I believe it was Lot, if my memory serves me correctly. They had so many riches. Abraham was like, dude, we can't coexist in the same place, man. We got too much stuff here. We got too many cows, too much cattle, and even our servants are starting to beef with each other. Look, wherever you want me to go, I'll go, and wherever you want, you can go. All right. Even back then, Abraham knew the importance of a man and a woman with their family having their own space so that they could comfortably live, because that's the way it's supposed to be done. So it eliminates all that hostility that could develop being in such closed and confined quarters with other people. Let's continue.
See subsistence living, and we were kind of seeing that already, because with the haves and the have-nots in our society, what was it, 50% of the people couldn't afford a $500 car repair bill, and that 25% of America did not have a savings account. That's 1 out of 4 people didn't have a savings account. Well, that's going to continue given our lack of employment. The economy is not going to be robust. It's going to be socialist. What do socialist economies do? They stagnate and decline. So what that's going to acquire, or make people acquire, is to adopt subsistence living practices. Oh my. This is where a lot of the violence will come in, the food riots and so forth. And people get real creative on how to make money. And if you look at third world economies at the base level, you'll get an idea of what's coming.
All right. People will have to resort to a very meager lifestyle, or they'll have to resort to stealing. Why? Because they don't have any money. What is it? Because if you don't provide people with a means to live, they have to resort to other means. What was it? What was it? Hireling and wages. Hireling wages. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I spelled that right, but we'll see. Yeah, I think this one is it. Micah 3 and 5. Okay. And it says, I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages. Okay. And how was this government oppress the hireling in his wages? By taxing the hell out of them. Okay. Oh, we're taking so much money out the TIF fund, so we don't want to spend our money. Let's spend the taxpayers' money. So we'll up the price on the vehicle sticker. Well, we'll up gas tax. We'll up property tax. All right, we'll do a grocery bag tax, a water tax. We'll do a tax on the tax. We'll do a Boogeyman 19 tax. All right, all these things that take money from people. Not only that, just not even giving them a job. Or having to abide by these oppressive draconian laws. All right, you got a guy that's used to doing 40 and every blue moon when he can get some overtime, maybe about 48 hours a week. And now he or she has to live off of maybe 20, 30 on a good week. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. Nobody can even survive, let alone live in a circumstance like that. That's why he said folks are going to start really cutting down, and folks are going to resort to some very drastic measures. Let's continue with this.
The magic of the Fed coin. We have yet to feel the pinch yet. But this whole idea of COVID, can't have change, cash, blah, blah, it's a bunch of crap. But we're going to go to the Fed coin. And this will be the excuse that'll be used because the virus could be laced in all your money and all your coins. No one's talking about the food. Don't people handle the food too? Don't people handle the food packaging? Pharmaceuticals, same thing. But you don't hear that. See the inconsistency of all these things they tell us. It fits the model that they want it to fit. So when the Fed coin comes into being, it's going to dramatically reduce your standard of living. And I've talked about this in other venues. You're going to have the value of your dollar, the value of the Fed coin they make you exchange it for, and the difference will go in the pockets of the elite. And you will basically have a wealth reduction. See, it's a way of closing the bank and taking a good part of your money without closing the bank and announcing they're taking a good part of your money. It's sneaky and it's darned effective, and it's really smart they're doing it this way. Most people won't even know what they've lost. They just know they can't afford things.
All right, the Fed coin. All right, that's why they're implementing all these, as you said, all these rules and regulations to take cash completely out the marketplace. All right. Almost every store you go into is checkout, self-checkout. You need a credit card, a debit card, or Samsung Pay or Apple Pay. All right, it's getting to the point where it's almost impossible to use cash to carry out normal everyday functions. I remember back in the day, and this when I was younger, like in the 80s and stuff, I remember our parents, and even before that, hear stories of our grandparents having credit cards, but they would use that for like something really big. And outside of that, they used cash. But the thing is, the only thing that they want to do is bring everything toward the chip. That's all it really is. They want to get everything to the point where you're only going to be using eventually the microchip, because this, whatever this Fed dollar is going to be temporary unless they're going to move it to something electronic so that they can put on the chip. And that's why I want to go to Revelation, you know, Israelite 101 stuff. And it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And this Fed coin is just merely another step in the process of heading toward the chip. Because eventually it'll get to a point where you can't, as he said, you have to eventually trade your dollars in for the Fed coin. The dollar will be useless. I mean, it's already useless now. But when that time comes to roll in that new currency, hey, you're not going to be able to do anything without the Fed coin. But as I said, that's just one step closer to the ultimate goal, which is the microchip.
Continuing on, we're going to have food lines. We already are seeing them in Texas. Did you see the Dallas food line where the cars were lined up miles deep? Well, I can tell you, too, it's St. Mary's Food Bank here in the Phoenix area where I'm at. The long lines are commonplace. And those poor people are working to themselves to the bone, but they don't have enough food. Food banks, and I did a podcast on this recently, food banks are in trouble all across the country. Food lines are going to be there. And this is where autocratic governments often use food as a weapon, food to gain compliance. Every Bolshevik-style revolution, after they do their purge, they always end up using food as a weapon. And sometimes the food and the purge come in the same model, the same happening, same time frame. So this is really, really serious, ladies and gentlemen. The food lines. Okay, number 6.
Right. Because man, after folks they don't have any money to spend, if they don't have a job, if they don't risk their life trying to steal, almost getting killed, or should I say murdered, however you choose to say it. Okay, it's going to get to a point that once they start rolling out these government programs for in exchange for your soul, so to say, hey man, folks are going to comply because they're going to be hungry. All right, the Bible does say on numerous occasions that there's going to be cannibalism. Because once this food starts becoming rationized, I believe, okay, folks are going to really start getting desperate. The government is doing that right now, stockpiling food. That's why the scripture says, that famine is going to be one of the 4 sword judgments in the world. And so there's a lot of I mean, Isaiah 51:19. All right. And it says, these 2 things are coming to thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Desolation and destruction and famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee? All right, because the government sure as hell is not going to show you any type of pity. All right, you either get with the program or you starve. And as we always say, you know, amongst us in the brotherhood, hey man, Jake can't go a day, let alone a couple of hours, without eating. So when things really get tough, where food is going to come short, all right, and the government is going to be handing out rations, man, you people are going to fold like a bad poker hand. Let's continue.
So those are the first five. As we move into the second half of this, you're going to hear phrases constantly. Well, you already hear this now with COVID. The constant PSAs you hear: social distancing, right? Stay 6 feet apart. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. This is what you hear. This is what we're commanded to do. Okay? So you're going to hear, you're already hearing the greater good argument, and you're beginning to hear the term, the greater good. The sacrifices you make, the inconsistency of laws, the favoritism that will be shown to one group over another, which is already happening, you're going to be told it's in the greater good. Well, when you hear societies use the term the greater good, that is a euphemism for we're taking away your rights, and your rights will be what we say they are in the moment we say it. And this is communitarian law. See, constitutional law says you always have your rights. They're God-given. Thomas Jefferson, okay, John Locke. The communitarian model, which is Europe, oh, you have freedom of speech until we say you don't. Oh, you have the right to defend yourself until we say you can't. And you have the right to worship as you want until we say it's not okay. And see, that's communitarian law. Communitarian, but it's good for the community, the greater good. Communitarian is like another euphemism for communism, okay? It's in the communist good, not the communitarian good. So you're going to hear greater good arguments as a way to take away your civil liberties.
All right. You got to get the classic one on this one. Gotta get the classic one. Psalm 55 and 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Like he said, oh, just comply. It's all for the greater good. You remember? We're all together in this. Alone, or alone we're in this together. You know? Do your part so you can help everybody else. But at the same time, as he said, the more you comply, the more the rights are being taken away. All right? Now you're going to need a COVID passport. Now you're going to need papers for checkpoints. Now you're going to have to ask, why are you outside of your neighborhood? What purpose do you have to travel? Okay, they're using all this, as he said, under the guise of the greater good, when in actuality, his whole intention is just to destroy you people. Let's go.
The birth rate will plummet. Oh my, this is going to endanger Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, because see, it's all a Ponzi scheme. You need more people coming in to push the older people through to pay for them, right? Okay? Not going to happen under the existing paradigm. And this is one of the arguments you get for immigration. This may now be a true argument. Seriously. So, the birth rate to maintain your population without immigration is 2.1. And that 0.1 is because people die. America, in the indigenous population that lives here, all races, all, you know, every demographic, our birth rate is now 1.8 collectively. No nation has ever come from 1.8 and less. They never come back without a collapse. Europe is in real crisis. Italy, for example, is 1.2. And I'm hearing demographers in America speak about the 1.2 now. Well, what this means is you can't find labor. You will have extreme shortages because you won't have workers. Well, wait a minute. Aren't we already seeing this? Go into the shelves of the stores. Look at all the things that are missing that you used to be able to get. I talked about this before with appliances. We were searching for a couple of appliances for our 17-year-old house, and we were told back in early August, November. This is an example of what we're going to be facing with a declining birth rate. That means jobs are going to once again start going overseas, or you'll have to bring in massive amounts of immigrants. And with COVID, that becomes problematic now, doesn't it? Okay, you're going to see extreme rationing.
All right. A low birth rate. Man, you already see it right now. I remember back in the day, summertime, man, you walk around Chicago, especially downtown by the lake, man, you saw nothing but big bellies and big bellied women pushing strollers with a previous shorty. All right, but in this day and age, you don't see that. Man, now you got girls out here who are just lost. Dudes out here lost. Economy's getting tight. Fellas ain't trying to get with women. Because they're like, dude, you a liability. You gonna want to go out on dates, want me to take you out, and then you might try to subject me to feminism? Nah, I'm good, mommy. I'd rather just pay for it and keep it pushing. And it's this type of environment that's creating the low birth rate, especially amongst bad Uncle Esau. As the scripture said, was he small? Because you can even see it right now. How this devil is small amongst the heathen. Let me do small and heathen. Obadiah 1 and 2, it says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. All right, you small in name, small in stature, small in reputation. And man, now you small in the low birth rate. All right, you guys are getting hit worse. Because the reality that you've been blinded from is now being shown to you like, whoa, I can't be poor. I'm used to staying in an apartment that's $2,000. I'm used to champagne. I'm used to bad chicks. Partying late night on Hubbard Street with bad females. Spending racks. Once that reality sets in that they can't do that anymore, you know it's time for them to hit that alcohol and them pills, and there you go. Permanent dirt nap. Let's continue.
Of resources. And the rationing is going to shock you. I think it's going to really surprise you. Automatically, your mind goes to food, correct? They're already doing this with PG&E in California. President Trump is trying to stop it. They determine how long you have your lights on, what days, not hours of the day, days that your lights will be turned off with PG&E. This is coming. They're going to ration your energy usage. Why do you think the Democrats are pushing the new Gang Green Deal so hard of Ocasio-Cortez, who stole it from the brain trust of FDR, and FDR rejected it? Yeah, she didn't come up with this crap. This is handed to her by the Bernie Sanders ex-campaign workers that were called the Social Justice Democrats. They're the ones that picked the squad and all these radical Democrats to unseat centrist Democrats in the primaries back in 2018. That's how you got Ocasio-Cortez. She answered a casting call. And now she's parroting the Bernie Sanders, this is what we want, but they both get their origins, like I said, from the early 1930s and the brain trust. I've had Pat Wood on my show to talk about this in detail. The documentation's irrefutable. So you're going
to... Yep. Everything is going to become scarce because everything is going to be so expensive. All right. The less people you have that are working, all right, the more they have to drive up the price to compensate for the folks that's not working anymore. All right. And in general, they don't want people using up more resources than what they have to. They already consider us useless bottom feeders. So those days where you could just play out in the front with the water hose and spray each other and blow up water balloons and throw them at each other. Hey man, them days over with. Like you said, they're going to tell you what day you can use electricity, what day you can use your washer and dryer, what day, all right, you might be to use your gas stove if you do something like that. All right, all these things are soon going to be in the works. And even this is in Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. And this video is getting a little long, so I'll make this the last one. I'm going to get a classic scripture. It's in Isaiah 10:1. It says, "Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed." All right, because how is this going to benefit people who have families and they have like 2 children? All right, you're going to wait. Each child may have to wait on an individual day to wash their own behind. Come on, man, that's madness. But this is what you got going on in Babylon the Snake. So I'll end it on this. Hopefully you're all ratified. Until next time, we're going to say shalom.